Hello and welcome to this episode of the Learning Enthusiast. I'm Chris Simmons, and I'm going to show you how to design and make a G-scale shed, which I have right here. So we'll go through that process. When designing in scale, there's a few ways to do it. I'm going to talk about taking something in the real world, taking its dimensions, and scaling it down. I like to use 1/24 scale, 1/24th scale. It's very easy to use, and that's why I like using it. You can take the feet, divide it in half, and you'll get it the inches. So if you really want to use inches versus using metric, it's easy that way. But my laser program does use metrics a little, so I'll just convert it. But you can use whichever you like. Like I said, you can take 10 feet, and if you want to scale it down, that equals 5 inches. So you can you can multiply the inches of the feet and then divide by 24 if you want to do it that way, or you can easily just divide in half for a lot of things. So, and then once you get your inches, you just multiply by 25 by 4 if you want to get metric. You want to get millimeters. So for this shed, I wanted to do a shed like the one I have in my backyard. So the easiest way to do that was to go to Lowe's.com, and on there I found a wood shed, and it's a little bit bigger than mine, and I like to use that as it's 8 feet by 10 feet long. So we'll scale those, take those dimensions and scale it down. There's a couple ways we can then make our initial box with those dimensions. We can either use boxes.py, or we can use a program I use for my laser, Lightburn. And you can also use any vector graphic program in case you don't have Lightburn for running your laser. So let's get started. Just a second, and I'll bring up the browser. And here we go. Just pull up my mouse. So you can already see this is it. Let's go and look at it. It's just a simple shed, with double doors. Basically what I have, although mine's yellow, mine's a different brand, but that doesn't matter. And here we have our dimensions. So this is really good because we have 6 feet by 10 feet by 56. It's good that we have this information so that we can then use that. Like I said, 6 feet, 10 feet, 56-inch door opening. So now we know, and we know it's 8 feet wide. We know the peak is 8 feet 6 inches. So we'll take down some of those dimensions, and what I'll do in a second is pull up a different screen. Just a second while I get that up, and take down the browser. And as you can see, and hopefully you can see it on here, so the 1-to-1 is 8 feet wide, 10 feet depth, 6 inches, 6 feet, I should say. Peak is 8.5, 56-inch door open. So to 124, I took 4 inches wide, 5 inches depth, and 3 inches height. And you can see, if you can see this here, you might have to zoom in some, but it's 4 inches wide equals 101.6 millimeters. 5-inch depth, 127, 3-inch height, 76.2. For the peak, it's, like I said, it's 8.5 feet. So if you divide, that's 4.25 inches. So in the millimeters, that's 109.95. The door opening would be 2.33, or in millimeters, 59.29266. So the next thing we'll pull up in a second is a different application. Just a screenshot, hopefully, of the box, of what it looks like in the boxes, and then I'll show you Lightburn. We'll go into Lightburn as well. So hopefully I can get this screenshot. And there you go. So here's the screenshot showing just basically what you need here, as in the few things. I wanted a finger joint that's just very big. I wanted basically one, and then that's what I was able to do here with the boxes here in this. And then you can see my settings, my X and my Y, and my height. Now these are the outside dimensions. Let's see, 240, because 120 is your depth. Wait a second. Okay, and this is just for the finger joint. The box settings here are not the ones that I used, so please ignore those. Like I said, it's 101.6, 127. The height is 76.2. This is just the settings for the finger joint was all I was showing here. I don't think I have the actual numbers here for that, but you make it a straight edge bottom, straight edge top. You know, you don't need any, when you're designing the box, you won't need any joints at the top or the bottom, because you'll have a floor and you'll have a top as well that will be flat. So let's go to Lightburn. Let me prepare our Lightburn here real quick. Then I'll get that up and running, and then let's so now you have Lightburn here. And what I've done here, this is what the end result will be. So I'm just showing that so we can use that as a reference. And I'll just pull up my notes on the side for myself. Because here you're going to need to do a few things that will be available. And what I do is I'm going to start with a box. So I'm going to start with making a box. Like I said, you can change this up here into inches if you want. And we know that it is going to be 5 inches depth. That equals 10 feet. So we will change this to 5. And then we know that the side is 6 feet height, or 3 inches. So that's the first one that we've created. And before, I'm going to make these joints, or these box joints. But before I do, I want to create the front. So we'll do the sides and the fronts, and then I'll show you how we'll do the peak as well. So if we come here, I'm gonna take my video off and just show you the screen. Gonna do the front. We know the front is 8 feet wide by 6 feet high, so 8 feet would be 4. And we know it's 3 inches high. So we have that. But a few things to note, and this is why I'm going to use millimeters, because my material is 1/8. I mean, I could use the inches, but I don't want to use decimals so much. So what's going to happen is this needs to be a little bit smaller. One of these will be smaller. Because we're going to add inches to it. So when you're talking about this one here, we need to make sure it's smaller. So as I was saying, we're going to add tabs or fingers or whatever you want to call it to one side, and then we're going to take out the other. So in this case, we're going to do that for this one, and we know it's about 3 millimeters thick is my thickness. You can actually measure if you want to get it exact, but for this purpose, I'm just going to say it's 3 millimeters. So I've actually changed the width to 124 because that's 127 minus 3. And I'm going to add tabs to both sides. This one can be the exact size because we'll actually be subtracting some. So we want to make sure they line up. You can decide what size your finger might want to be in percentage of this thing. And I'm just randomly going to make it. I'll make it 42 just to be exact, and 3 inches would be my material depth. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to let me undo that. Let me select it first, and I'm going to snap it to this line. Now I'm going to select the big box here, and I'm going to then let me zoom out. Let me reset the thing here. I'm going to then, okay, let me hit this to line it up. I want to make sure it's in the middle. So I'm just going to click that. So the next little thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tab that I'm creating, and I'm going to duplicate it. So you can either use Control D, or you can right click, and there's also a thing. So the new one, I want to select one of them, and I'm going to make that a different fill. We can turn off this frame we don't need. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to turn it off, output it, so it won't be affected in my next step. So my next step is to take it, the one that's there, and select it, and I'm going to basically weld it. Oh, before I do that, actually, what I'm supposed to do is to put this on the other side. Like that. And then we'll do it like this, and then I'm going to weld it to it, and I'm going to pull it out. Now what I can do is then flip, I will duplicate this again, Control D, and I will flip that one, and then I'm going to combine the two. So, and it doesn't really matter which one you do which. Right, like, so what I'm saying, I'm going to use this tool down here. What I mean is the tab and the thing can be either or. You just have to remember, whichever one you're going to do the tab, you would subtract 3 millimeters from the total width. So we have that one. On this one, we can then go in here, and I'll turn this other one on. Now I put it in the wrong place, which is fine, because we'll just move it this side, and then we'll make sure everything is lined up, and then I'm going to do this other weld tool here, and then we have that, and then we're going to then do the duplicate. I'll show you how to do it with the right click and hit duplicate, and I flip that because I'm going to want it to do the right side. And then I hit this button. So now we have these two that are basically should be exactly lined up. We can check it. And I would do this all the time, try to check these things and make sure that everything is correct. This one seems to be a little bit off. So we can look at the heights. We can also see, did we do something here? So what it appears, this is part of troubleshooting, is this is not in the right spot. Why, don't know. We'll just undo, undo, undo. So with this, we can, let me just make sure this gets put in the right spot. You can see this is slightly off. I want to make sure it's in the right spot. I'm going to pull this away, and then I'm going to then select these two. It's always a lot of just testing and re-looking at how this works. I'm constantly just trying it and see what happens, and then you need to always make sure and put those together to see how well they fit, and this will ensure a very good fit. I've used I've looked at the box design and seen that it's not always great. So you can see here they now go together, and that's great. So now for the peak, we know that this is what, 6 feet, right? Is 3 feet, because that's what the sides are. The peak now will go over, will go up another, if you look at it, the peak is 4.25 or 8.5 feet. So you just have to figure out the difference between this 3 feet and the peak. So the 3 feet minus the 4.25 would then give you the sizing. So to do the peak, we need to make a triangle. So we're going to select this octagon tool, I think it's called, or polygon or something, and we'll just make anything size. Make sure that it's on the same tool thing. Now it doesn't look like it, but you go to the shape properties, and you probably can't see this. Shape properties, I'll pull it in a little bit, and you change the sides to 3. There you go. Now the only thing is, now we need our width to be the same as our 8 inches, or the right, so it needs to be this length. So width will then reflect on this, and my width is 101.63 or 101.6. And you can see it, we'll need to rotate it. And I will hold the shift key because I want a good rotation that will get this flat. Now see, it's not exactly, let's make sure that, it's funny because when you do it over here, it doesn't always translate. So you have to go into here, but at least we get, kind of the shape we wanted. So there we have that. Now the height, like I said, it should go from 3 to 4.25. So that's 1.25 increase, and I'll just gonna do inches because it's easier for me. So it's almost there. Like I said, it's 2.5, so 2.5 is the height. So now we're going to take this and we're going to try and line it up exact. Check, make sure. And now we have it. Let me reset this. And then we'll select the bottom shape and we'll do a combine. And there we now have our sides. We have a side and back, and we can copy them. And then we can add things like you can then add openings. This is the opening that we will make, which is 56-inch door wide, which is this one right here. I've already created it. You just basically make sure it goes in the middle. And if not, you're a little off, you can just go like this, and then it will be in the middle. And then create that. So this is a good starting point for this design, and like I said, then you can make the windows and everything that you want. Oh, if I select both of these now, I'm going to combine them. There you go. So it should be exactly similar. In some ways, we have a different this way, but it's whatever you want to do when you do the box joint. They can be big, small, whatever you think might work. Try those things. But this is basically how this is done. I'll show you kind of the completed version, which should be, if I can pull it up. So here we have it. This, I even added some wood siding design, which you can or cannot. It's up to you. It does take longer to engrave that. You can try doing it as a line or something different. But I know for me, I only did the front. So, and here I have all my extra stuff, my doors and things like that, which you can take and do some things. Another good website to talk about is one called dimensions.com. So dimensions.com has dimensions for windows, for doors, everything you can think of. They have some examples and pictures and things, or drawings really, that you could probably use for doing your laser stuff, doing texture or anything like that. Or you can use other things. You can use other techniques. Just you can check out Jack Verducci's book on doing structures in G-scale. I'm not sure the name of it exactly, but it's Kalmbach as the publisher, and you can find that on Amazon. I'll try and put a link down in the description so you can find that there, and that also has some good techniques. And one of the things too is you don't have to make everything exactly to the scale down, because it may not fit your particular, so you can use force perspectives and some different techniques that they use in Disney and things, where the top windows or the top of the thing might be more compressed, or the depth might be more compressed. I know for me, not having exactly all that room, especially on my laser, to make big stuff, and a lot of the stock is 12 inches by 12 inches, so I'm somewhat limited with that. So there's some limitations, so it depends on your limitations, but you can try these different things and see how they work for you. So I hope you enjoyed this quick really project in doing G-scale shed, and then you can produce something like this. And this, even I used sandpaper for the top, so that's one of the techniques you can use for shingles, or cut shingles out of thin wood. Like I said, here's the I don't know if you can see the engrave of the wood, but you could also take pieces of wood that you cut and put those strips down to be wood, or you can put whatever masonry, whatever kind of things you want to on your structures. So that will make them more realistic, but it's pretty easy to get started in these things, taking real world examples and scaling them down. So please try it. Put any comments or questions in the comments, or anything you have. So just with that, I hope that you've learned something here. So I want you to remember to never stop learning, and remember to like this video, share the video, follow, subscribe to our channel, to my channel, and I hope to do some more of this G-scale and some more of these projects in my laser, but also more garden railroad stuff as well. Some other projects. This is an easy one, I think, for a lot of people. And you can really make it look nice, and you can do other things. Doesn't even have to be a garden shed. So check that out. Also, that would be it. I really appreciate you watching this program, and thank you, and thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you. Bye.